Welcome back to Shoot Your Shot Scorecast, NFL edition. We're all back. The boys are back.
That's right.
How's it feel to be daddy number 3?
It feels great to be a third daddy. Um, and yeah, I mean, they say third time's the charm. So I'm just happy that I finally have the same number of kids as I have testicles, so it's what's the
Wow.
matter? Yeah.
That was not
What?
where I expected that to go.
Oh, okay. No, I'm really excited, obviously. I'm pumped that I have a son finally because he can relate with me on many levels at some point. And yeah, no, it's just fun. I've already put him in, since it's the NFL edition of the Scorecast, he's already worn multiple Bears onesies, hasn't pooped on any of them yet. So that means it's a sign that he is forever a Bears fan. You're welcome, son. Welcome to the Justin Fields Chicago Bears high elite offense winning era of football.
Well, he's already doing better than the Bears if he hasn't crapped all over himself. So that's good.
No comment.
I got to get a few jabs in this episode.
No, I mean, hey, I take advantage of it. I would,
Oh, yeah.
I would too if I were in your position. No,
Especially
I'll
after
talk about
last
Bears
week.
when we get there.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. And we're sponsored by TickPick. I know it's that season to go to games, especially for like football tailgating and all that. And what more than TickPick? You get no service fees, not like Ticketmaster, where I heard like this past week, people were complaining because they couldn't get in because I don't know, the site shut down. But TickPick, there was no service
Wasn't
fees.
it something with Taylor Swift?
Yeah,
Because
something
her
about
tickets
like
for
her world tour or whatever. But I don't know. I have no idea. But I just know people couldn't like get their tickets, and they're probably skyrocketing the prices. But with TickPick, no hidden fees. And I bet you the
right,
site
and no
is
Taylor Swift.
and no, they probably have Taylor Swift, but yeah.
But
But probably at like
they'd
a
be better
really
off if they
big
didn't.
price, like $800. But there's no other fees on top of that. But yeah, check out
Right.
your favorite event or sporting event or Broadway, anything. Using TickPick at the link down below. All right, let's talk about last
It's my
week's
tick in a box.
picks in the box.
My TickPick in a box, girl. Yeah. So last week, let's see, Richie, you were 8-5. Did you hit on a lock last week? I don't know.
No, I did not. I don't think so. Did I?
All right.
Nope. We all missed our locks. Wait.
What?
Let me verify that. Richie's the only one who hit his lock.
Okay, I was thinking college football. My bad.
Oh,
You're on the Titans -3.
I was on the Tits plus -3. Yep,
Nice.
that was great.
what was my lock last week?
The Cowboys
boys.
-5.
Yeah, that was bad.
Rough. And I was on
that was
Vegas -6, the Raiders, who lost outright to the Colts.
The only place where the house loses
Yeah.
in Vegas. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Both of those lock losses are so painful.
They're pretty
because
bad.
Very, very painful.
I shared with you guys a stat earlier in the day that the Cowboys over the past like 2 years have been undefeated when favored against an opponent. Were undefeated against the spread when facing an opponent under 500. I think was the
Yep.
stat that I had heard. And they went, I mean, they had it for a majority of that game.
Up 2 touchdowns in the fourth
Packers.
quarter, right? Yeah.
Imagine being up by 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter and losing the game. Couldn't be the well, no, it was the Bears. You're right. Well, anyway, yeah. So, yeah, I'm 69-78 on the season, 7-6 last week. Missed my lock because of those freaking Packers, and then Michigan Hat, you're 74-71, 6-7 last week, 3-7 overall in locks after missing on Vegas, which I would have locked that game too. I think that was a good pick because you're thinking, okay, sure, the Colts might have a little pick me up with the new coach, but it's still a coach that's never coached before on anything close to the NFL level. And it's really is an indictment on Josh McDaniels that
Yep.
the Raiders lost that game.
That the Colts fought harder for their coach, who last coached in a high school game, more than him, who was seasons on life support. So yeah, rough. But I blame the Raiders for that, not me.
It's all the Raiders' fault for sure.
Oh yeah, I'm not blaming you. I'm not blaming you at all.
Oh,
I'm
no.
blaming. I'm I'm not going to blame anybody. I'm going to give credit to Jim Irsay. He is a genius, and the Colts are the greatest franchise in sports.
Matt Ryan will be there for 10 more years.
That's right. And then Ryan Tannehill will take over, followed by Kirk Cousins. All right, let's get into this week's game. So Sunday, we'll talk about the Bears instead. So Bears are my beloved Chicago Bears are visiting the Atlanta Falcons in Atlanta, Georgia. Obviously, again, the Falcons are 3.5-point home favorites. The over-under is 49.
Cool. So I have some comforting stats. So the over is 4-0 in the Bears' last 4 games overall. So they've been slinging the ball. Justin Fields looks great. Obviously, he's been on up and up. We've been talking about this for the last couple of weeks.
Goated.
The Bears, yeah. The Bears are 4-0-1 against the spread in the last 5 games following a loss against the spread loss. So that means they'll probably have a good bounce back game. And the Falcons, they're 0-4 against the spread in the last 4 games overall. They haven't been covering. At the beginning of the season, they were like the cover kings, no longer the cover kings. So with that, I'm taking the Bears plus 3.5, locking it because of that stat. And yeah, Falcons aren't that great. So yeah.
Yeah. So I am also going Bears against the spread, and I am locking this one as well. So the Bears, obviously, we've seen an offensive explosion as far as the Bears are concerned. Honestly, as far as most NFL teams are concerned, when you can put up 30 points in 4 straight weeks, that's a good sign. Obviously, we saw something similar from like the Lions at the beginning of the year, where they were just putting up points up the wazoo like crazy. Unfortunately, the Bears defense is now resembling somewhat of the Lions defense at the beginning of the year. So just goes to show you, the Lions narrowly beat the Bears by a point last Sunday, in a very disappointing fashion for Bears fans. Really, to me, the takeaway from that game is it just shows you that the Bears and Lions are not that far away from each other, if we're being honest. So, but as for this game, the Bears they're just due for a win. It's time they need a win. They've been close the past 2 weeks, and both weeks, manager can say what he wants, but both weeks there were crucial calls towards the end of the game that were impacted by referee decisions, that I think did impact. It's hard to say for sure the outcome of the game, but it prevented or stunted things that could have potentially unfolded. So I think this is finally week the Bears get over that hump. The Falcons are fine. They've been surprising this year at times, but they're not world beaters. They're experimental, honestly. They're just like the Bears, just like the Lions. They're trying to figure out what their future holds. And so I don't know. I feel good about this game. I think if I could put a bold prediction to this game, I think this is a game, and it may not sound impressive to people, but I think this is a game where Fields gets over 250 yards passing. I think the Falcons are in that perfect spot where you now have if you include the Vikings game, you have about 5 games of tape of Fields and the Bears running tendencies. And I think they're not that the Falcons have a good defense, but I think they're going to tamp down on that more than other teams have been able to this point. And I think, but I think the Bears will be able to take advantage of their concern of that with the passing game. So my bold prediction is going to be over 250 yards passing for Fields. Probably still over 300 all-purpose yards, which you love to see. Honestly, I'm going to pick the Bears to win this game, but for the sake of our scorecast, it'll be a lock on against the spread. Sorry, that was a long spiel, but this is the team I know the most about.
Yeah, I don't disagree with your analysis for both of you. I think in my mind, this game is kind of a coin flip. I mean, Vegas is saying that with Atlanta -3.5, but they're the home team, so it's basically giving them that advantage just for home field. I'm going to take the under here. I don't think I know much about what either team is, but I know the Bears obviously have been on a hot streak offensively and a cold streak defensively. We talked about this before the Lions game last year, I think just in our group text or last week. At some point, there's some regression to the mean, I think, on both sides of the football. The Lions started off the year really good on offense, really bad on defense, like you said, ended up somewhere closer to the middle on both, or at least both kind of moved that direction. So the Bears have been on a hot streak on offense, cold streak defense, which is the exact opposite of how they started the year. I think at some point, this kind of starts to settle back down towards the middle. So I'm going to take the under here. I think this is a game. If I had to pick a side, I'd take the points and take the Bears. But I think it's going to be a close, low-scoring game, so I'll just take the under.
Next up, we are going to discuss the Detroit Lions at the New York Giants. The Giants are 3-point favorites at home. The over-under is 45.
Awesome. So the overs 5-0 in the Lions' last 5 games following a or against a spread win. The Lions are 4-1 against the spread in the last 5 meetings in New York. So it's specifically New York. So that's cool. The Giants are 5-0 against the spread in the last 5 games after accumulating more than 350 total yards in the last game. So with that, I am taking the Lions +3 because I feel like they're feisty. I think it might be a close game.
I think Lions +3 is the right side here. You want to talk about regression to the mean? I still am not buying the Giants. I am not, and even if the Giants win the Super Bowl, I probably am not buying the Giants. I just will not I refuse that. They do not have the Giants. If I'm being honest, the Giants roster is a lot closer to the Bears and the Lions than any serious Super Bowl contender. Brian Daboll is doing one hell of a coaching job over there, and Saquon Barkley is playing out of his mind, and that's really all that they. If we're being honest, that's what's keeping them where they're at. At some point, the Giants are going to regress to the mean, like we've been saying. It could be this week. I like Lions +3. I'm going to go with the under here. I know that this weekend, a lot of the discussion out east is the weather. I don't think we're discussing this game on the show here, but Browns, Bills, they're right now, the forecast is showing 6 feet of snow in Buffalo for that game. Is wild. And I mean, I know that the Meadowlands in New Jersey is different than Buffalo, but you'd assume there's still going to be some weather after effects down there along the coast. So I think with the weather, I'm going to hedge my bets and go with the under.
Yeah, this is a weather play for me. I agree. It won't be 6 feet of snow, but if it's anywhere close to that, Saquon Barkley is 6 feet tall. So that kind of tells you something. So I'm going to take the under.
Good thing Kyler Murray's not playing out there.
Yeah, right. Yeah, 4 inches of snow. Where's he at? Yeah,
we're just slithering through.
Right. I think the Giants aren't that good on offense, but their defense is solid. The Lions, I still don't kind of know what they are, but I think this is kind of a sell high spot on them. After winning 2 games in a row against division rivals, the betting side of me kind of wants to fade them after that because I don't think they're that good.
That's a fair point.
Especially on the road, weather conditions against a team that's played tough and I think has a better coach than you do. So if I were to take a side, I kind of lean Giants. It's hard to do that as a fan. I feel pretty good about the under. Honestly, if I assume there's no weather in this game, I'd take the under 45 just based on the way these teams
there has
play.
To be weather.
If they play on the moon with no oxygen. But yeah, if the weather is perfect, I'd still take under 45 just based on the strengths and weaknesses of this team. I think both teams are going to try to run the ball. But if there's any kind of inclement weather, I think that is a lock. So under 45.
All right, next up to discuss, we have the Cowboys at the Vikings. Is this America's game of the week? It should be if it's not. This should be Romo and Nance for sure if it's not. I bet I'm going to be pissed personally if I chime in on CBS Cowboys Vikings should either be Nance and Romo, or it should be Burkhardt and Olsen on Fox. If I go on either of those channels and I see Raiders or Broncos and Bengals Steelers, I am going to write a personal letter to Roger Goodell myself. Okay. Like that, this is unacceptable if it's not this team. Okay. These two teams. This is, to me, the game that intrigues me probably the most of the whole week, other than honestly Browns Bills. I'm excited to see how much snow there is. And here's part of why. Well, actually, I'm sorry. I'm totally skipping over Richie's turn. Richie, what are you picking in this game? Cowboys at Vikings. Dallas is 1.5 point favorites on the road. 47.5 is the over-under.
All right, cool. I'll just start with some stats real quick. The Cowboys are 4-0 against the spread in the last 4 games, following a straight-up loss. And then the Vikings are 3-0-1 against the spread in the last 4 games overall. So it's going to be one of those crazy, crazy games. This is, like you said, the game of the week. I still feel the Vikings are frauds. I don't care what anyone says. Kirk Cousins is not the guy, what everyone says, but I'm taking the Cowboys by 1.5. I'm taking that money line too, just like a little sprinkle, whatever. But yeah, I think the Cowboys game to win after following the loss last week against the Packers. They have to come back and win. So
I think you both know probably what my feelings are on this, and we've been talking. A theme on this episode has been talking about teams that seem to be overperforming what they really are, and that at some point regression must set in. And listen, I've come to grips with the fact that the Vikings are going to win the NFC North. I've come to grips with the fact the Vikings might win a playoff game. I just don't. I refuse to believe that the Vikings are a true Super Bowl contender. I don't see it. And it's not even because of primetime Cousins. What is the source of them winning these games? It is Justin Jefferson and Justin Jefferson alone. Eventually, you're going to come across a team that is going to know how to guard him and shut him down. In fact, after they blew out the Packers in week 1, it took like until week 6 or 7 before Jefferson really showed up on the stat sheet again, because teams were shutting him down. There's going to be adjustments. There's going to be responses. The Vikings are overdue for a loss, in my opinion. I still see the Vikings personally as like an 11-6, 12-5 team, and they only have 1 loss. So this last half of the season, basically, I'm predicting them to go under 500 to finish out the season. This team is not 15-2, 14-3, 16-1. They're not. No way. So this is going to be the first of a few losses here coming down the pipeline for the Vikings. Cowboys -1.5 for sure.
I agree. We're all on Cowboys -1.5. There's a lot going into this game that makes me lean that way. You do have primetime Cousins, which is a thing. I don't think it's just like a Twitter joke. It's absolutely a thing. Both these teams are coming off of very different weeks. So Cowboys just had a choke job game at home. And then you have obviously the Vikings coming off of the game of the week, huge emotional game. So with all the narratives and everything going into this, I agree. What this comes down to for me is the Vikings just aren't a good team. Back when the Lions played the Vikings and we choked that game away on the road, I've just never been convinced that team that I saw the Lions play is very good. So yeah, I'm going to be fading the Vikings here. The Cowboys are off a really rough loss. I think this is a bounce back spot for them. And I'll just say this could be a preview of a playoff matchup. And if I had to pick what I think would happen in the playoffs if these two teams played,
boys,
I would be taking the Cowboys.
Boys.
Yep.
Let's go. All right. Sunday night football, Kansas City Chiefs at the Los Angeles Chargers. Richie, what you got?
all right, so Chiefs, the over is 7-1 in the Chiefs' last 8 road games. And another thing about the over, it's 9-2 in the Chargers' last 11 games on field turf. So they're a big field turf type of team. Unfortunately, I didn't use those stats because it's a primetime game. I bet the under 50.5 just because I feel like it's gonna be one of those like crazy, not so overish games. no offense really, but just Mahomes, no offense from the Chargers really. So that's why I predict at least.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages. Right now, the reason I'm looking down at my phone is because I'm logging in to our partner, I'm logging into PointsBet. And the reason I'm logging into PointsBet is because I'm preparing to lay a future bet on the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl. They are doing it this year. It is the Chiefs. There's no team. The Chiefs are the most competent team, the ones with the most experience. They are it. The Chargers are also frauds. This year we were billed. This is going to be a tight division. Justin Herbert is going to be amazing. And the addition of Khalil Mack, this defense is going to be amazing. And the Chargers have been thoroughly underwhelming.
Preach.
Chiefs are running away with this division. They're running away with the league. The Bills are clearly vulnerable. Chiefs are winning. They're going to. They are winning the Super Bowl. There's my prediction now. 5.5 is what I'm taking the Chiefs at this week.
I agree. I think the Chiefs are. Everybody's kind of seeing the issues with the Bills. I've loved the Bills for a long time. To me, the Chiefs, like I said with the Titans earlier, the Chiefs have kind of been under the radar based on how good they've actually been. The Chiefs are, to me, the best team in football right now, and it's not very close. Chiefs minus 5.5. The Chargers, I'd love to bet them and think like, hey, they're a home divisional underdog in prime time. That's a spot I'd love to bet a team like that, but I need to see it from them. Like they've done everything possible to lose games. So if I'm going to get the spread under a touchdown, I need to see it first from the Chargers. So Chiefs for sure.
And in fact, hot take potentially. Brandon Staley, who's been heralded as a very bright and great young head coach.
Yep.
I don't know, man. He may not see it past the end of the season, depending on how this all shakes out. So
seat might be getting a little warm when you go out and get bombed by 30 points this Sunday night.
Yeah. And I mean, hey, Josh McDaniels may be available. So
there you go.
All right. Let's move on to actually, I just thought of a really intriguing coaching switcheroo.
Frank Reich.
If Brandon If Brandon Staley leaves, how wild would it be? Or if Brandon Staley's fired, how wild would it be if the Chargers hired Pete Carroll out of retirement? Pete Carroll returning to USC region where he had many great years for himself. It would just be an interesting story. Now the Seahawks are holding their own. We'll see what happens. But anyway. All right, Monday Night Football. 49ers at Cardinals. The 49ers are 8-point road favorites. The over-under is 43.5.
All right, so the under is 10-2 in the 49ers last 12 games on grass. For some reason, I feel like the 49ers are they just get enough done to win. And I saw that last week when they didn't really try to get a touchdown. They just kind of kicked the field goal, which kind of pissed me off because I need them to cover, what have you. It felt really weird.
That was a bad break.
What's that?
That was a bad break. I was on that too.
Yeah. The 49ers are 5-0 against the spread in the last 5 versus NFC West teams, but I don't buy that at the moment. And also the over is 4-0 in the Cardinals' last 4 games overall. But this is a primetime game. And just knowing how the teams work, especially Monday Night Football, has been really quirky lately. I think I picked the under. No, I picked the Cards +8 just because I feel like it's going to be a close game.
I went with the under in this game. Primetime unders have been just phenomenal this year. So I'm going to keep riding that wave. Listen, you want, again, this whole theme of talking about teams either overperforming or underperforming. I feel like people have been trying to make the Cardinals happen for like 4 years now. And every year it's just like, I don't see it. It's like the best season the Cardinals have really had with Kyler Murray and Cliff Kingsbury was like an 8-win season. Okay. Like there's nothing to write home about. Kyler Murray is an elite fantasy quarterback. He is not an elite NFL quarterback. He is a NFL quarterback. Okay. That is what he is. He's sure above average NFL quarterback, not in height, by the way, just in skill and talent. Maybe a coaching change do him good there. Cliff Kingsbury. If I'm the Cardinals, I'm moving on from him tomorrow. Like he's not good. I'm not a believer in the Cardinals. The only reason I'm hesitant to go Niners -8 is because it's a large number and it's Monday night and the Niners play kind of close games. And when you're more of a defensive team, run first team, it's hard to cover larger numbers like that. That's my main hesitancy just from basic logic. So for that reason, though, I'm going to go with the under 43.5, which also happens to be Kyler Murray's height in centimeters.
I completely agree with what you said about big spreads, the way the Niners play. So that's a big reason why I'm taking Cardinals +8. I also said in the Chiefs-Chargers game that I would love to bet on a home divisional underdog, and this is a spot where I'll do it. Honestly, I feel like this team is not much worse without Kyler Murray, which kind of says something about how that's been going. I think Colt McCoy is a fully capable backup quarterback, possibly one of the better backup quarterbacks in the league. And I just think it'd be hilarious if the Cardinals came out and won this game, which they won't, and then started like a semi-quarterback controversy. So, yeah, I'm taking Cardinals +8. It's just too many points for a divisional underdog.
Isn't Colt McCoy like 3-0 or 3-1? Like
he's been good. Yeah.
I heard a stat about that. I'm like, oh, it's not bad. No wonder like they did pretty well last week.
Last week he had like 250 yards and a touchdown. They won the game. Yeah, he's been decent.
Sick.
All right. Well, I think that concludes our NFL picks for discussion. We'll just run through the rest of our picks here. So we've got Panthers, Ravens, Browns, Bills, Jets, Patriots, Rams, Saints, Commanders, Texans, Eagles, Colts, Raiders, Broncos, and Bengals, Steelers to run through. Richie, go ahead.
Cool. So I got the over 42 in the Panthers, Ravens. I'm skipping the Browns and Bills game. I don't know what's going to happen in that game. I feel it's going to be total chaos. I just want to watch it as a fan, but I'll definitely live bet it, but I'm not going to bet it on the scorecast. Jets at Patriots, I have the over 38.5. Rams and Saints, I'm taking the Saints by 3.5. Commanders and Texans, I'm taking the Commanders -3.5. I feel like they're recovering because they've been doing really well, apparently, whatever. Eagles and the Colts, I'm taking the Eagles -7. Raiders at Broncos, I'm taking the over 41.5. That's a hot take. I don't know what's going to happen. It could go under, but I could see it going over for some reason because everyone's betting the under. I'm fading the public there. And then the Bengals and Steelers, taking the Bengals -4.
All right. I am skipping Ravens, Panthers. 13 is a big number. It scares me. The Ravens are by far the better team. Still just worried about that. Browns, Bills, what a wild card. This game could be in a neutral site. It could be canceled. It could be played in 6 feet of snow. Based on the fact that it's in 6 feet of snow, I'm going with the team that has the stronger rushing game. And I'm sorry, but the pairing of Nick Chubb and Creamy What is going to be what leads the Browns not only to covering, but possibly a victory. I've got the Jets covering 3.5 against the Patriots. I've got the under 39 in the Rams Andy Dalton led Saints game. Is it John Wolford still for the Rams? I think
should be.
Yep. And Cup's done. So
Yep.
So you got John Wolford to Allen Robinson connection and Andy Dalton to, I guess, Jarvis Landry. I mean, I know Olave's there, but yeah. Anyway, then I've got the Washington Commanders. It is the Taylor Heineke show. It's Taylor Heineke's world, and we're all just living in it. Commanders -3.5. Eagles have a big bounce back game, -7. Not worried about them against the Colts. Saturday is a fraud. And I got the Raiders +3. I think they have a bounce back game after a horrible game against the Colts. Raiders are a better team than what they showed, and the Broncos are just as good as the Raiders. So I'll take the Raiders. I'll take the points. And lastly, Bengals Steelers. I'm gonna go under here. Bengals score. I'm gonna go. This game's gonna be like 28-10 Bengals.
All right, Ravens, Panthers. I'm taking Ravens -13, and it's a big number. I just think this is a big win spot for them. I think it gets out of hand for the Panthers. Browns, Bills. I'm taking the under because of the weather. Like you said, I think Cleveland is the right side there, though. Rams at Saints. I'm taking Saints -3.5. The Rams are tanking and they're playing for the draft, which unfortunately that draft pick goes to the Lions. So fortunately for me, I'm taking Washington -3.5 against the Texans. Yeah, I have no real commentary on that one. Two bad teams, but I'll take the hotter team there. Eagles -7. This is my lock. I love this spot. I locked against the Colts last week, and now I feel like the Colts owe me money because I lost that game. I'm taking a much better team here and not for very many more points. So Eagles -7. I do think the Colts are frauds. I do think the Colts are trying to tank without saying they're trying to tank, and the Eagles need a big bounce back win. I think the Eagles,
which makes Jeff Saturday's first coaching win even that much more hilarious. Like,
yeah,
I'm gonna hire you to lose games for me, and then you win.
Irsay is pissed. Yeah. Yeah. So I think the Eagles are winning this game by 14 in the first quarter and end up winning this game by 30 points. Like I could see this being that kind of game. Eagles also have a legit defense. They shut down Jonathan Taylor. It's not even going to be close. I'm taking Raiders Broncos under 41.5. Bengals Steelers +4, home underdog again, home division underdog. So I'll follow that trend, and those are my picks.
I would love to see the Eagles rehire Frank Reich before this game against the Colts.
Oh, that would be spicy. Like as a consultant or something. Yeah.
Oh, I don't care. Hire him as whatever. Just have him be there in the organization.
Yeah.
All right.
Also, before we head out, we have a bet line. If you want to call us for your picks, actually, call the number down below, 833-BET-SYSS. Leave a voicemail, we'll play on the show. We actually have some funny ones. I'll play for you guys in a bit, but they're really funny. We have some cool callers. They called in from like New York, one from Tennessee for like college football game, but it's pretty cool.
Nice.
But yeah, call us and also follow us on the Scorecast at SYSS Scorecast down below on Twitter, and all our picks and all that jazz is on there. So yeah, check us out.
That's right.
Cool.
Until then, have a safe time betting and win lots of money.